President Trump says he is cracking down on crime in the nation's capital. At a news conference this morning, he said he's deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and the federal government has taken control of D.C. He says, in his words, this is a push to crack down on crime there. The president then took aim at Chicago.
Every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started it in Chicago. We're going to end that in Chicago.
The president also threatened to send the National Guard to major cities like Chicago as well as Los Angeles. Joining me now to talk about all of this is CBS News Chicago legal analyst Irv Miller. Irv, thank you for being here. A lot of questions after this press conference, namely, can the president legally order the Guard to take over D.C.?
He can legally order the Guard to take over D.C. He cannot legally order the Guard to take over other entities such as states.
Right.
50 states he has no control over. The District of Columbia, since it's a federal enclave, he can do whatever he wants legally in ordering the National Guard under the Army Department to patrol the streets, actually.
And the Fed can then be the overseer as such of a local police department because of that.
Exactly, and the issue really isn't whether he can do it. Mm-hmm. The issue is, should he do it?
Okay.
Because of all the problems that could come up. I mean, I think we heard him say today that it bothers him if somebody spits in the face of a police officer and the officer can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then he said, well, from now on, they can do whatever they want if somebody spits in their face.
Right.
Well, that concerned me.
Of course.
Are they going to be able to put their knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes? Are they able to pull out their gun from the holster and use deadly force in a resisting arrest situation? These are things that officers are trained to do or not do. That's not going to happen in this case.
A lot more questions just by opening it up. So when it comes to Chicago, we hear the president saying he would like to send the Guard here as well. Your reaction to that? We heard from Governor J.B. Pritzker and the mayor, but what's your take?
You know, it's a different situation when you're talking about a sovereign state,
right.
Illinois, California. The word sovereign means something. The president just can't, at his own initiative, just jump in and send the Army or the National Guard to a state unless there's some type of request, typically by the governor, to come in and help out.
And that isn't happening.
I don't think Governor Pritzker is about to do that.
Certainly not from his comments earlier today. In relation, or specifically about our area, about Illinois, he said he wants to reinstate cash bail. Is that something that he has any ability to do?
None. Lawyers don't typically like to be definitive about things.
So
they like
cut and
to
dry,
stay
right?
There's 0% chance he could, by his own order, cash bail to come back to Illinois. It has to be an action initiated by the General Assembly in Springfield. It has to be typically approved and signed by the governor to get rid of the Safety Act and reinstate cash bail. That's not going to happen in Illinois unless Illinois wants it to happen.
If you are a member of the Illinois State Police or the Chicago Police Department and you heard some of this press conference this morning, what are you doing now? Now that we heard what the president said, are you holding in place to see what happens next?
Well, I hope the Chicago Police Department Training Division puts in a course as to what to do if we have to start training military people to work on the streets of Chicago. So it doesn't come as a surprise. They're ready for it. And frankly, you know, training is the magic word when it comes to whether it be the National Guard or, you know, the DEA patrolling, you know, with beat cars in the streets of Chicago or Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's
so if they get it right, it may work, but it's not designed to happen.
Well, we will watch and see if it does in fact happen, and we'll be calling on you again for your
Sounds
perspective.
Good.
Irv Miller, thank you so much.